Hi viewers and welcome to Elimu's video podcast, and today we are coming to you live from Harry Ministries. Remember, Harry Ministries College is one of Elimu's projects, and today we are talking with a very special guest, a guest by the name Shannon Ashford. She is the founder and owner of Tomfoolery in Los Angeles, a very unique online fashion business. And she's here in Malindi preparing for a personal design for a Paris Fashion Week in September. So today she has been able to come to Elimu and work with graduates from Harry Ministries. So we want to hear basically her experience and how her trip to Kenya has been. So let us start by first of all introducing our guests to you. So Shannon, let's start with you. Why are you here in Malindi, Kenya?
So I actually ended up here through the help of Nina, the founder at Elimu. I decided that I wanted to come work with local artisans in Kenya to make this collection for Paris.
Okay.
And I was telling my Aunt Robin at home that I've always wanted to come work here and start a sewing shop here. And she put me in touch with her friend Cindy, who lives 20 minutes away from me in Los Angeles. And so I ended up on a Skype call with Nina, told her my whole plan, how I wanted to come here, work with the girls, and show a collection that they made. And I met with Cindy, and in a span of about 2 weeks, we had the whole trip planned, and my ticket booked, and now I'm here.
Yeah, that was pretty fast, I guess. Huh?
Yeah.
Quite amazing. Tell us a bit about yourself. Who is Shannon? Where were you born, raised, something like that?
I'm born and raised in Los Angeles. I've been in California my whole life. I learned how to sew when I was a little girl. One of my neighbors taught me how. Every summer she would invite all the neighborhood kids to come over, and we would sew like pillowcases and little purses and that kind of stuff. And then when I was in high school, it became more of a hobby for me. So I would wake up early before school and make myself an outfit to wear that day.
Sure. You make it that day and then you go to school with it?
Yeah.
Really?
And I would make friends' prom dresses or school dance dresses. And I never really thought it would be more than a hobby for me. I thought it would just always be something I did for fun. And then when I went to college, I ended up with an art degree after 4 years at university. I switched my major about 7 times while I was there. I kept finding new things I wanted to learn.
Wow.
But after graduating, I worked in an art gallery for about 2 years and was working a couple other odd jobs as well. I was working for a costume designer and also doing early morning store setup for an interior design shop.
Okay.
So I was working 3 different jobs at the same time.
Wow.
And
in college, that is?
Yes.
Okay.
So it was a lot of work, but I finally came to the point where I had to either get a full-time 9-to-5 office job.
Okay.
And for me, it just sounded horrible to be in an office from 9 to 5 every day. And starting a clothing company was always a dream of mine as a child. And at the time, I was 23 years old, and I just kind of figured that I wasn't married, I didn't have kids, I didn't have other responsibilities, so now was a great time to go for it and start something.
And here you are.
Yeah.
Quite amazing. So Elimu basically is an organization that deals with students. So probably we'd like you to tell us something small about how your student life was like back at California. Was it easy when it comes when I ask you that, basically going to school, coming back and things like that, how easy or how difficult was it?
It was always very easy. I grew up in the public school system, so you have a school that's close to your home, and that's where you walk to every day. I would walk to school with my brothers and sisters. But education was always very big in my household. It was never really an option with my parents. It was, you're going to go to school, you're going to finish, you're going to go to university and get a degree. Wow. So it was always very hardwired into us growing up.
Nice. We've told our viewers that your online fashion business is quite unique. Kindly describe to our viewers what kind of garments do you make that makes your online fashion business unique?
Sure. So I make all women's jumpsuits. And the unique part of them, they all feature a drop seat on them. So there's a wrap belt on them that unties, and you can drop the back down, so you can actually keep the top on when you have to use the restroom, instead of stripping everything off. And
I know they hustle actually. I understand. I've been there. So basically, why did you choose jumpsuits? Why jumpsuits?
Jumpsuits for me, they've always been one of my favorite things to wear. I've always been a little bit of a tomboy, so I'm not very girly in the way that I dress, but I love jumpsuits because they can be formal and still look feminine, but it's also, you got the pants at the bottom so you can take off sprinting down the street if you need to.
Wow.
But they've always been a favorite thing for me to wear.
So are they making a difference, or are they making progress as much as you started it because it was something that you love? Are people embracing the same?
Yes, it's actually one of my favorite things to tell women in America. As soon as I tell them that it has a drop seat and you don't have to take everything off, they're like, where do I buy this? That's so cool.
Okay. So actually it was that easy for them again to accept it from you?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Tell us, how is Elimu helping you to realize your dream now that you have this big company and now you are here with these girls making your garments? How is it?
It's been pretty amazing being here. I've always wanted to come back to Kenya and start a sewing shop here, and to have a place like Elimu to come to and have a community that's already supporting me while I'm here has been a huge step. I'm not coming here and building everything from scratch. You guys already have these amazing projects in place that I can just come and be a part of.
Oh, nice. So actually it's a bit easy on your side, but you hope that you'll keep coming.
Yes.
And, empower our girls pretty much.
Yes, definitely.
Probably one of them will come out of this place with her own company like you, who knows? Okay, that one of the pillars of Elimu's approach is entrepreneurship. We want our youth to find ways to turn their creative ideas into lifestyle and income. And we especially love it when their business ideas also solve problems in their community or even globally. You are a good role model for our youth in that, based on the fact that you are doing the same thing. So tell us a bit about what motivated you to start your business and where did the idea come from? You told us about you were growing up and then you loved your sewing. So what motivated you to start your own business? So
for me, as I said, I always wanted to start a clothing company, but it always kind of seemed like a far-off dream, like maybe I'd do it down the road. And then when I was in school, my last year in college, I was able to travel to Southeast Asia. Okay. And I came up with this idea before traveling, but my friends and I, we all love to wear jumpsuits and rompers out, and we're always complaining about having to go to the bathroom in them. And so I told my friends if I was ever to start a clothing company, that was going to be the problem I'd solve, is I'd figure out a way to make that easier. Wow. And then when I was in Thailand, they have a style of pant called Thai fisherman pants that are very similar. They have a front panel here, and then you pull the back through your legs and tie it around. Wow. And a friend of mine bought a pair while we were over there, and she put it on for me. I'm like, wait, this is it? Like, we just need to slap a top on this, and we've got our jumpsuit, and the solution is right there. Wow. So that was where the inspiration came from. And that's when, so I came home and made my first prototype of the jumpsuit and showed it to my mom. We got the mom seal of approval. She was like, you might actually be able to start a business with this. And then as I started making them just for friends and selling them to people I knew, and as it started to grow into more of an actual business, I started doing more research on the fashion industry and how they've really polluted the environment and just kind of the ugly side of it that no one really wants to talk about. And for me, it became much more of a responsibility starting a fashion company. I didn't want to just be exploiting workers in other countries and using material that was going to ultimately destroy our environment. So that's when I started switching gears and looking for a fabric that's made of recycled bottles and something that's actually going to improve the world.
Wow, that is very, very impressive. Plus, let me mention that I have a number of jumpsuits, and all of them are those hectic ones. You go to the washroom. So I think probably when you're leaving, you should leave me one. You can also supply to Kenyan such, because the ones that I've seen even in the markets are those hectic ones. But you love them at the end of the day. So if you could sum up in 3 words the most important traits it takes while starting a business venture, what would you say those are?
So I think one of the most important traits to have with starting a business is probably resilience, because it takes so much effort. You have so many ups and downs, and you're all over the place. And I've kind of gotten into this pattern of, even when I have huge setbacks, I kind of give myself maybe 30 minutes to go for a run or go outside or just kind of collect myself, and then I have to pull it together and get back to work, because you can't let those things get you down. So no matter how bad a day or an event or whatever it is that goes, if money falls through, if you don't have enough to keep going, if whatever kind of sets you back, you have to be able to wake up the next morning and just keep going and keep pushing. So I think resilience is definitely a huge one. I think also just being kind to people around you is such a huge part of starting a business, because as much as people like to say they're self-made and started their own business, I didn't get to where I am alone. It's taken so many people to help me get to where I am right now. So I think being able to just treat everyone around you with kindness, because you never know who's going to be able to help you, who's going to know a person that knows a person that gets you exactly what you need. I think just being able to be kind to everyone around you will open up so many more doors. And then the last thing, I know something that's helped me a lot is being very mission oriented with starting a business. I think if your goal is just to make money, at the end of the day, that's not enough motivation. It's not enough to keep you going. I think you have to start something that you really are passionate about and care about, and that's going to give you the drive to keep going.
Sure. So you talked about kindness, being kind, being resilient, and having a mission, a good mission that is not just money-oriented.
Yes.
And I hope when you're leaving this place, you make sure that our girls have us on their fingertips as well.
Yes.
Because actually, these are actually very core traits for any person who wants to make it in business. You have used social media as an integral part of growing awareness for your business. Can you share with us what are your guiding principles for using social media? Because for our girls, what we do normally, because we know that we are in a digital world right now. So for Hairy girls, we normally bring them to Elimu Resource Center, they access computers, get to access internet, go to the Google, whatever, they search designs, and then they can be able to, get some design and just make it out of themselves. So as far as you are concerned, if you have used social media and social media is an integral part of growing awareness for your business, kindly share with us what your guideline principles are.
Definitely. I think for Tomfoolery, we're very big on having strong content and telling a story with the brand. So it's not just about pushing a product, it's about who made it and where it came from and where the fabric started, and kind of everything that you're buying when you buy a jumpsuit. It's not just owning a jumpsuit in your closet, it's who made it, who you're supporting with that purchase, and what you're cleaning up in the process. And it's also very important because it's in the digital age, people aren't so willing to read long stories. So it's so important to be able to capture images that really tell what you're trying to say. So kind of whether it's a short video of the product being made, or a picture of the landfill where the bottles started, or something like that, something that's going to be engaging and really get your story out there.
Wow. And I think that is something that is quite, because when you're doing that, we have people who, you scratch my back, I scratch yours, those who do business and then they just do it people of the same class. But when you have such kind of girls, someone from very vulnerable environment, situation, and then you promote that girl, actually you're building. So that is quite impressive, and I pray that you come back and keep working with such girls and raise them to those high bars.
Yeah, that's the plan.
Well done. Okay, how has the experience in running the business been different from what you expected, or is it just what you expected?
It has not at all been what I expected. I think I was very naive starting this business. I think because I was so young and I didn't really study business in college. So for me, it was just, I like to make jumpsuits, I'm good at sewing, so this is what we're going to start. And it was a very, I guess, innocent way of looking at it all. I didn't really take into account everything that I would have to be doing. And as the business started growing, I started having to take on so many more tasks, and I didn't have money to pay other people for it. So I have my friends do the modeling for me, I do the photography and videos. I've kind of had to learn everything. I've taken courses in web design, so I've built my own website, and everything from accounting to doing the social media and PR and all of that. I've kind of had to figure out everything on my own and learn so many new. It's been a lot, but it's been very rewarding to learn all these new
because
things.
I think now you are an all-round. You've gained experience in all those sectors that you're working on. Okay, we know confidence is a great part of someone's success. Huh? Do you have a teacher or role model in your life that has given you the confidence to pursue your dreams?
I think for me, probably my two biggest role models are my parents. They've always told me that I can do whatever it is I want to do, whatever I set my mind to, I can make it happen. Which I think with where I am right now, they might come to regret those words.
Why?
They get very nervous with me starting a business and traveling to the other side of the world by myself and all of that. And I'm very okay with taking big risks, and my parents are not comfortable in that area. So I think it scares them a little bit, but they've always been the people to tell me that whatever it is that I want to do, I can make it happen.
That is very good. You are a risk taker. So talking of that, how did your parents react to you coming? Were they just okay? Were they
no. They did not react well to it. My mom was actually very excited for me to come here and work with the girls. My dad, all that he hears is that I'm leaving the country and I might never come back. So that's what goes through his head.
But at the end of the day, you'll be back. So
yes.
Congratulations on that. So who are some women you admire either in your professional or personal life, and why?
Oh, good question. I'd say someone who, actually the first time I came to Kenya was about 10 years ago. And I was
been to Kenya before?
I have, yeah.
Oh, that's beautiful. Okay.
Yeah, so I came when I was about 15 years old. I had the opportunity to come with a group of high schoolers.
Okay.
And so we fundraised through my church, and we all got to come here and spend a week. And we were in Nairobi and visited an orphanage in Ngong called Mary's Shelter. I don't know if you've heard of it.
Ngong area? Okay.
And the woman who runs it, her name's Mary, obviously. But she has been a huge role model in my life. I've stayed in contact with her. She's come to the States for the last couple of years, and I'm hopefully going to see her when I'm flying home.
Okay.
So I'm hoping to make a pit stop and see her before I go back to America. But she's absolutely incredible. She has such a big heart. She's taken in hundreds of kids and helped them get through school and fed them and gave them a place to stay. And she's one of those people where you just you look at her and you understand God's love. She just radiates all of that. She's so incredible. So she's been a huge role model in my life. And I think another one would be one of my best friends at home. Her name's Miriam, and she's one of those people where we've been good friends since about 7th grade, since we were about 13 years old.
Oh, till now?
Yes. Wow. So it's been 13 years that we've been best friends. But she's just an incredibly kind human being. She's a school teacher, and so she has a very generous heart. She's been one of those people where we just have a soul level connection. You know, those certain people are I'll have a song stuck in my head and I get into her car and that song's playing, that kind of stuff. We're just always on the same page.
So many things.
Yes.
Oh, nice.
So she's one of the kindest human beings I've ever known in my life, and she's a huge inspiration to me.
Wow, and I think you've learned a few characters from them as well, because you're kind, and you also have a big heart. For you to come all the way and work with these girls, that is something that is actually so recommendable.
Thank you.
You had a chance to share your experience as an entrepreneur with students here at Elimu Resource Center. That is, I think, last week. Tell us how that felt for you.
I was very nervous sharing my story. It was my first time talking to a group about the whole process of starting the business.
Oh, so small. Was it that big?
It wasn't that big of a group. Okay. But it was kind of cool for me, because I feel like I've been just going with the business. I haven't really taken a step back to kind of reflect on all the steps that have gotten me to where I am. Sure. And that was kind of a cool thing for me to do, is to sit down and write out the process of where I started and where I am 2 years into it, and just the people that have come into my life and all the things that have gotten me here. It's you know how people say that you don't really understand your life until you're looking back and reading it? Sure. It was kind of like that, where there are so many things that happened that at the time didn't make any sense, and now everything's just kind of, it all fits, it all makes sense. There's a reason for everything I've gone through and every person that's come into my life, and all the random skills or things I learned along the way have all somehow come into play.
So you were able to connect all those dots.
Yeah, so that was really cool.
Sure. Was there anything from your interaction with those students that really struck you? Do you have anything that you can maybe recall?
Yeah, I think
Maybe someone asked questions that you didn't even know how to go about it or something like that.
I was really encouraged by some of the students. Actually, a few of them asked me afterwards about the process of turning recycled bottles into fabric, and we're so intrigued by that idea because it's something that you have in excess here. It's something that everyone has in excess. All these bottles in landfills, and we need to do something with them.
Sure.
So it was really encouraging for me to see all of these students who were so excited about that idea, and they have such a strong work ethic. It's really inspiring, all the kids that you have at Elimu. And they were so eager to say, okay, so how do we get this done? How do we start this? Like, how do we get involved with the recycling center and make this happen? We can make fabric here, and we can have the whole process done here. So it was really encouraging for me to meet people who are so excited about the same process.
Doing, sure.
Yeah.
And plus, after you left, most of them came back. Can you get her email address? They kept asking. That means they were really interested in whatever you are doing.
Yes.
You have had, and you have been working with young women who are students or graduates sponsored by Elimu to learn their sewing trade at Harry Ministry Sewing Project. That is where we are right now. How has it been for you working with them?
It's been a really great experience. I'm very self-taught in my sewing, so being able to see these girls at kind of the age where I started sewing for myself, it kind of is reinvigorating for me in a way. It's like, remember when I was first learning how exciting it all was, and it's still what I love to do today. But it's also been a huge challenge for me in that for the last 2 years I've been making every jumpsuit myself. And I've gotten so particular about the quality and making everything on my own that it's been a real challenge for me to let go and let others make my products. So that's been something that I'm trying to deal with, which I know is my own control issue and not theirs. So that's been a challenge for me, but it's been really rewarding being able to see someone else learn the same skill that I have.
Yes, you have. That is for sure. Anyone who reminded you of the small you, the 15-year-old you?
Honestly, I think all of them do, with how eager they are about sewing. And well, I think it was our third day sewing. One of the girls, Nancy, asked me if we could work through the night stitching. I was like, I remember that feeling when I was your age.
Oh my God, I think the zeal is there for all of you, all of you. Which word have you learned in Swahili?
Oh gosh, Asante is probably the one I use the most.
Okay, so do you know that in Swahili the word for trade person like you here, it is we call them fundi.
Yes,
so you are
was telling me that.
So you should have remembered that as well. So you as a fundi from America, how well did you relate to the fundis you are working with here in Malindi?
I found it really easy to relate to the other artisans and makers here. I feel like that's kind of the great thing about making is it's almost a language in its own, or even if you don't speak the same language as someone, you start making something together and it's still a way of connecting with them.
Good. Here they work on an electric foot pedal sewing machines like the one you're having right here with us. How did you find that? Can you operate one yourself?
I'm slowly getting better at this. It's a lot harder than it looks though.
It's not so hard.
I feel like I keep pushing, I can't get like the rhythm right on it. I'm slowly getting better at this,
So
but it did take a while.
Come back and then at least get some skills for the same, though it's hard as you say, but then when you get used to it, you find that the girls find it very easy.
Yeah, they make it like so easy.
Are your garments ready for Paris now?
They're almost ready. I have one more jumpsuit to finish when I get home, and then we'll be all set.
Okay.
Yes.
Has anything changed for you since you arrived in Kenya, either with your business idea, your fashion design ideas, your approach?
I think a huge thing for me that I've kind of taken away from this trip is the need for a strong community. I think I've felt that so much here, and at home it's just me running the business. And after 2 years of just working by myself and for myself, and I get to network and meet a lot of other people, but I don't really have that strong community at home. So that's been something that's been so great to experience here that I kind of want to take that home and foster something there and focus on that when I get back.
Nice, 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 nice. At least you're taking something from Kenya back to Los Angeles, right?
Yes.
Okay, you say that Elimu has had an impact on you personally.
Yes.
Can you describe that for us?
Very much so. I think for me, when I came here for the first time when I was 15, Kenya was just a place that always stuck with me, and it was a place I always wanted to come back. And even starting Tomfoolery, it's a long-term goal of mine to set up sewing shops in developing countries all over the world. But Kenya was always where I wanted to start. And so getting in contact with Elimu and you guys having this amazing sewing college already set up and this huge resource center and all of these kids that you already cater to, it was kind of amazing having all of that set up and ready. And you guys have been so supportive of me coming here and pursuing this project that it's been really amazing that you've facilitated that for me. I think it's so important to find those people who are going to support you with what you're doing. And I think the main thing is when I'm having a horrible day, when things are not going my way, when I feel like it's all kind of gone downhill, for me at the end of the day, I'm really happy with what I've done and the company that I've created, because it's something I feel so passionately about that I'm very proud of where it is. And even if all goes horribly downhill and I have to close the business, I'm still proud of how far I've come with it.
Sure. Plus, passion drives everything.
It
You
really
have that
does.
passion,
Yeah.
even if someone tells you, or if someone is saying those very, this path you really can't go, but then you're passionate about it. I think it drives.
It does. It's a dangerous and a beautiful thing.
It sure is. Okay, now let's know, which of Kenya's wild animals is your favorite?
Oh gosh, probably elephants.
Why elephants?
I've always loved elephants. I don't know if it's because how big or gentle they are, but it's like, they're just so
Are they
big.
really gentle?
I guess not always, but in my experience they have been.
Because you'll hear in Kenya, like we have people who are near farms, and then most of the time you see these on news, maybe the elephants came, we do it's cultivation, you have your farm, you've cultivated it, elephants come, they destroy your plantation. So some people are normally very bitter about these things now. Anyway, they are beautiful and you take care of them. But that gentle part of it, yeah, they are gentle. If you are gentle to them, they'll become gentle. But they should not destroy people's crops. Okay, if you were to describe yourself as an African animal, which one will it be and why? Will it be an elephant?
Myself as an African animal. Maybe a giraffe.
A giraffe, why?
Because I'm tall and curious.
Feisty. So lastly, do you have a particular memory or story from your visit to Malindi? Something you can't wait to tell everyone back at home that you could share with us?
Let's see. I feel like there's so many.
You can share even if there are many.
I think probably the day that I think I've laughed the most since I've been here was with Madam Grace, and she was, I don't think I've ever been asked so many times in 2 weeks why I'm not married, or when I'm going to get married, or why I don't have kids.
Okay.
So it was so priceless, because the whole conversation was just so black and white. It's, oh, you're not married, so you're a sister. I'm like, well, no, but...
Understand why you're not married? You're at your age.
Yeah, no, I'm still not married, which is normal in America, but very behind the game here in Kenya. But it was so funny having that conversation with her. Well, you need to be married now, and you should have 2 kids by now. And well, why don't you just have 8? And well, if you're healthy, like make it 20. Just keep going. I'm like, it was.
And how many are you planning to have?
Not 20, that's for sure. No.
That's a lot. I don't think you'll get there. Anyway, I think that's the end of our podcast. But then before we close, I wanted to know, why did you choose on Tomfoolery as your
as the name?
Yeah.
It actually started out as a joke. It was a friend of my dad's who was over for dinner one night when I was in high school when I first started sewing. And he's a ridiculous human being. He's one of those type of people that will just talk and talk and talk and doesn't actually hear what he's saying. So he was telling me what the rest of my life would look like and what my future would be, knowing nothing about me at all.
Okay.
But he told me that I would start a clothing company and that I would call it Tomfoolery, and he had no explanation behind it. But I kind of loved the name, and I always remembered it. And when I got the idea with the drop seat jumpsuit, I remembered him saying that I should call my company Tomfoolery, and it's an old Irish phrase that means like having fun or getting into trouble. And it just kind of seemed to sum up the concept of a drop seat jumpsuit really well. And I started telling friends about it. I'm like, what do you think about Tomfoolery as the name of the company? And everyone I shared that with, they're like, that just suits you. Like, it just fits you so well.
Oh my God.
So it stuck.
Your uncle is here for sale or something? Ah, that is very good. So thank you so much for sharing your experiences with us today, Shannon. It was such a pleasure having you with us.
Thank you.
For those few weeks. How long have they been?
3 weeks.
3 weeks. Thank you so very much. To our viewers, that was our podcast for today from Elimu Resource Center in Malindi. Thank you so much for watching and for following. See you next time. So from me and Shannon and the entire Heri Ministry girls, we say bye-bye.